Fireside chat are in the house. This will be about unveiling the truth. We will be mastering the art of AI and Gen AI. What is it that hasn't been told to you? So, what is it that hasn't been told to you would be told by our lovely participants of this particular session who are going to be taking up the stage. So, first up, allow me to please welcome your session moderator, Abhishek Mathur, GMIT at Vatsalya. Can we please have Abhishek, the ace Abhishek, taking up the stage? Abhishek, thank you and a very warm welcome. I hope you don't dislike me for making you do squats. All right, let's have our speakers. Oh, okay, fine. We'll do more of breathing then. But allow me in the meanwhile to please welcome you wonderful, wonderful speakers here. Dr. Yogesh Datke, the IT leader at Avient Corporation. Dr. Yogesh, thank you very, very much for joining. So good to be seeing you. Pradeep Kumar SK, the Vice President of Digital and Software at Eton India Innovation Center, that is EIIC. Pradeep, thank you very much for joining. Let's get talking, let's get cracking. And Abhishek, it's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And after those, Scott, I want to ask, how's the Josh? How's the Josh? Right. Thank you very much for having me on this stage and moderating a very important session of the day, which is primarily about, if I talk about my panelists, all had been from the manufacturing segment. I also represent the manufacturing segment. I'm not sure how many you know about Vatsala. We make engines for the ships, power plants. And what we are trying to discuss today is a very, very interesting topic. In a sense, as a person said, what you haven't been told. We are trying to cover up that aspect on mastering the art of AI with generative AI. Artificial intelligence, like someone asked, since when it is there, and someone said it's since 1970s, and people had been using it for years, and it has evolved, to an extent that it has become a commodity service. It has reached our hands on a handheld devices, our kitchens, our homes are AI controlled. And on that thought-provoking session, we would like to delve on the implications of AI and generative AI technologies on business, operations, and strategy. We will be covering about how manufacturing sector, how the companies with big production lines, shop floors are leveraging on AI. We will also try to touch base on the ethical part of the game as such. So to start with, I have Yogesh on the panel here. And Yogesh, you had been representing an industry which is into a lot of manufacturing sectors and primarily B2B coming forward. So what had been the major use cases per se have you seen from the AI perspective?
Sure. First thing first, it's good to see Shikha here, the host, and thank you for the invite. Thank you, ET, for inviting me here. This is the new tool in the market is AI. It's a talk of the town. However, the opportunities that it creates for manufacturing segment, typically in terms of their supply chain, in terms of their production strategy, and as well as having an outlook in the market to know what's upcoming based on the market trends and not just financials, but which product will run in a consecutive manner. At least a couple of use cases which I have implemented overall in the industry. One of them is from the supply chain perspective to understand in case of a particular situation, which supplier I should turn on. That I can get as a data point right at 180 days outlook, and not just based on the consumables, but also based on the geographical conflicts, which the point which I got the chance to add into that code. And it enabled us during not just COVID, but also during the Suez Canal, where the ship got stuck for 8 days, but supply chain was an issue for entire 3 months scenarios. And also those geographical conflict between the countries that helped us manage our production without any stoppage. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's a very good examples you quoted actually. The blockade at the Suez Canal that choked up the game, and there were a lot of memes about it. And I think everybody is trying to crack that supply chain gambit and the game. If AI can help in cracking that thing, then it's a really big thing. But that's a very good example as such. But moving on, then if I talk to Pradeep, you come from from a energy business line, and I'm sure being a critical infrastructure part as well. Are you seeing any? I'm sure must have used a lot of AIs, but any roadblocks, any hiccups, any failures during the journey?
Hey, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be part of this august audience. Uh, if somebody says they haven't faced failures, either they haven't done it or they're lying, right? So we have had a lot of failures. I think the AI hype curve, which Gartner keeps publishing, I think all of us have seen that. AI is coming out of its winter. We are in the hype cycle now. Honestly, in the sector and the segment that we operate as Eaton, right? I mean, we are a power management company. Now we call ourselves an intelligent power management company. We want to have a power genome in all our solutions. To have meaningful return on invest solutions, it's going to take a while. We are building a lot of solutions which is more experimental in nature, POC in nature. We are trying to understand how, given the EV takeoff that has happened, the grids needs to be resilient. How do you ensure that you know what's the EV load, what's the non-EV load, right? We got to detect EV. We are trying to build such solutions, right? So EV detection is a big part of it. It's at the grid side, then it comes to buildings, commercial buildings or house buildings as well. So we got to segregate whether it's an EV load or a non-EV load, right? We are trying to build solutions in those spaces as in I have a separate breaker for EV, non-EV, how I can segregate that load. Remote monitoring is a big thing in any industry, and we are trying to build such remote monitoring applications. Customers are not going to pay us just by monitoring, right? I mean, gone are those days you can show beautiful dashboards using web apps, mobile apps. The question is, can you predict failure? PHM is the name of the game. So the ability to detect and say, hey, your motor is going to go down, or any of your critical infrastructure is going to go down. That's when potentially customers, that's the aha moment that they have, and they're going to pay for us. So be it in the utilities segment, the data center, I mean, we have heard about the data center story since afternoon, right? That's exploding. We're trying to build solutions in data centers, industrial, utility, all these segments, more on AI. And given the industry that we are in, Edge AI is the name of the game for us. Gen AI is nice. Everybody talks about it. There's a lot of buzz. But honestly, we haven't been able to really roll out solution on the Gen AI. Of course, there is a lot of effort going on that. In the coming days, or rather in coming months to quarters, we should have something on that. So there are a lot of lessons we are learning. Ability to really find the insights which are actionable and monetizable. That's the key. Without that, just data is not the new currency, right? Data, I mean, I can tell you a use case wherein the licensing of the solution was X. To manage the data that got processed, the mobile bill that we had to pay was 2X. Nobody realized that. I mean, you want to push in and pump in data. Yeah, of course you can do that. You have gigabytes of data that is being pushed. Somebody needs to pay that bill. We ended up having a 2X mobile bill than the license cost of the solution. So these are some of the lessons we are learning on day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that set the context as such. And as I said, you represent a pretty critical infrastructure. So That's a very important. Uh, at the start, when I said AI is reaching the normal citizens, it's being used by citizens now. So, bit of story. I was talking to my daughter, and she was writing her assignments, and she used ChatGPT to write the assignments. So, talking on that note, uh, primarily we cannot overlook the ethical and the governance part of the game, and it's a question open to both of you as a panelist here is how do we see the ethical part of the game? How do we perceive the governance considerations and ethical gambit of AI?
So I'll put up some words and okay. So of course, there are a lot of jargons that we can use, like governance, putting the protocols, frameworks into the picture, and kind of. I still remembered during 1995, first year of my engineering, right? Our principal, Colonel Kapoor, he opened a computer lab for us, and he said, "This is your lab. You run it the way you want it." And of course, internet was that dial-up at that time. And I mean, no shame, and everybody about 21. First thing that we saw was Pamela Anderson over there, and screen got stuck. Okay, now coming back to that point, if that was that, if I can do that, anybody can do that with the help of AI for any other thing also. Okay, that's what we see today. However, it's just a matter of education that we come across. Of course, the AI bills are getting passed in Europe, in India. They are also talking about it. The DPDPA kind of tools and the, as well as our certain kind of processes, those will help in putting up the guardrails around it, and that's the way to go forward. You and me cannot control what somebody can do. However, we can always put the guardrails around it and make them accountable for their actions. That's my view on it. Thanks.
Very good insight. And how do you see it as a, if I can add a question to it, on the governance part, especially in the business context, what are the key challenges or opportunities you see with the generative AI?
November 2022 is when this thing whole exploded, right? ChatGPT 4 came into life. Everybody was super excited. Coming from leading a tech group, I was under tremendous pressure as to we got to do something with ChatGPT. People started downloading it. I mean, at Eaton, people did not even know, hey. Then immediately, first thing was we got to block it. In March 2023, we wrote a white paper on the potential use cases. So I was called to the headquarters and said, I mean, there were 5 lawyers and 2 engineers around the table. I mean, Eaton is, just imagine the industry from Eaton comes. It's not a high-tech company. I mean, we have 250 plus factories. It's a manufacturing heavy company. So 2 engineers, 5 lawyers sitting there and talking about Gen AI. To May 2024, scene has completely changed. The COO comes to the review meeting and says, don't show me any automation solutions without AI. That's the change in trend. So what we got to build is build those guardrails. People were skeptical when we got GitHub Copilot. How do we know the quality of code is as good as? It's a Copilot. It's not autopilot. People forget that. Now we have around 31% of acceptance of the GitHub Copilot that it throws up. That's like 1 in 3 suggestions that come, we accept it. And we were like, oh, it's so low. When you go back and look at the GitHub logs, I mean, the blogs, you see similar trend across the industry. We had to benchmark ourselves. So you cannot build these solutions without guardrails. So we do the exact same checks, right? Coverity, Black Duck, and whatnot, for handcrafted code, for generated code. We got to have that. I mean, there is no way we can excuse ourselves from that. Then you set up yourself for failure or you're more vulnerable, right? So that's, I mean, this comes with responsibility. Of course, you get the code in seconds, but you got to be careful about what is the code that you get. So I think, I mean, many people come to me and ask me, hey, what's that? I mean, being in digital, that's one disadvantage, or I don't know how to take it. Tell me what is the future thing? I mean, as if I have something that I can look at it and tell it. I say one thing is prompt engineering. The way we are doing, I mean, I was listening to a podcast on, I mean, this was somebody from Berkeley talking. The way, I mean, if you look at the last 50 years of how the coding technology has developed, be it from Fortran to BASIC to C and whatnot to the Rust programming that is there today, not dramatically things haven't changed. 30% of the time, the people who wrote the code cannot understand the code. The other 70% of the time, others cannot anyhow understand the code. Now has come GitHub Copilot, wherein, hey, you need not be literate in a C. You can use your English expression and develop code. So that's what the generation needs to learn. It's not about, you can't get stuck in old ways. So that's the opportunity. We got to leverage this opportunity and make best use of it, but with responsibility. That is the guardrails and governance, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Thank you very much. People who are not aware of the manufacturing sector as such, for us, in that CIA model of security, availability is the key. And our risk levels are bit higher. It's not only financial losses, it's also a life loss at risk. So are we seeing any use cases there per se where we can ensure that the people working on the shop floors are safer with the use of AI?
Absolutely. I mean, I was yesterday with one of the OEM, and we kind of adapted the technology from there. So for us at the manufacturing, safety is a paramount, and especially when we LTI. So when we deal with a high temperature zone, then a human body usage of human body makes a lot of difference over that. So for safety, we need a technician need to have a helmet, hand gloves, goggles, and safety shoes. So we created use cases and deployed it over the shop floor that if anybody who's not following all these 4 practices and the apparel associated with that, then it gets detected, alerted, and as well as the immediate action on it. So that saves life. Second one, I mean, not from the this one, but also on the robots, because we have a filler robots where the fluid which is inflammable that pours into the containers and color gets added to that for the mixing. If there are any impurities or if there are any excessive fuming, then it also image-based solutions help us to stop the line or to stop those robots at a given juncture so that we don't have the loss of the product and loss of overall production. These all are proactive measures that we want to take with the help of AI, and these use cases are already implemented. I'm sure many of the organizations which are in front of us are been looking after for these kind of use cases. Thank you.
Thank you. So AI as a savior. Any final words on this?
I think in the OT space that we operate, I mean, cybersecurity in the IT space is very well known. Everybody talks about it. We got to be, I mean, we have heard about ransomware and whatnot. So more and more products are getting connected, which means more and more products are getting vulnerable. The ability to have IT and OT networks to be segregated and monitoring OT network with the same kind of resilience that we do with the IT is coming to life today, right? We have chillers which are connected. We have motors which are connected. You got to guard them, otherwise they can, I mean, hackers can get into those kinds of devices which one would not even have thought of, and so for me, cybersecurity is extremely key when we're talking about any of the connected solutions, IoT solutions, edge solutions. On top of it, when we get AI, you got to be extra careful. I don't think we have really resilient models where we have cybersecurity solutions for AI. And Gen AI is something next level, because AI and machine learning is something based on the data set you have given. But GenAI is not essentially the data set you have given. It's going to predict it. It need not be based on what it has seen, based on the neural network that it has generated. It can go and find out new potential use cases and it can throw up new things. So you got to be extremely careful. I don't think the industry has cracked that. In the coming years, I'm sure there are smart people around the world who are going to find solutions for this. I think that's going to be the key.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very good insight. OT has its own challenge. We don't make production lines or dams or anything for 5 years to refresh. We take it like for 100 years. But do we have a time to ask a question? Any questions from the audience?
Quickly, can you all think of if there's anything that strikes your mind to ask the leading minds?
Seems like Yogesh and Praveen, you were very, very clear with your thoughts. So, yeah, okay, probably we are between the award ceremony and the bar. Sorry for
Oh,
that.
yes, that's definitely the
So
plan.
if I can sum up in a minute, so we touched upon the use cases for supply chain management, the biggest one on the production lines, and the biggest of all is AI can be used to save the lives. So on that note, thank you very much, audience. You had been a wonderful audience. So thank you very much.
Couldn't have echoed more. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll request you to please remain on the stage for a group photograph, a quick one there. But thank you very much.